Welcome, everyone. This is Work Made Human. I'm Nichole Mendez, Director of Talent Acquisition here at BAM.
I'm Jill Veglin, Head of People at BAM. And with us today, coming from Charlotte, North Carolina, is Scott Zimmer, co-founder and CEO of Answers From Me.
Hello, hello.
Scott, thank you so much for being here. We're so excited. We've heard all the lovely things.
Happy to be here.
We, as a PR and comms team, we do this show because storytelling and meaning are core to just everything that we believe in, everything we do, and everything that we think about when it comes to work. You're wearing multiple hats. Firstly, as the CEO of Answers From Me, and then also as an executive education coach. So looking at your roles, looking at your journey, how you got here, when you zoom out a bit, what belief about work is tying all of your work together?
Well, again, thanks for having me. And I think it might be helpful if I zoom out a bit to describe that my context all started with a career that began at Disney, and talk about a place that reveres storytelling. So my first major stop in my career, I should point out that they laughed at me when I applied there the first time. So I had to work my way in and got very lucky and joined the Disney brand team and evolved to be a part of the team that launched Disney Cruise Lines early in my career. So, and then from then on, I was lucky enough to be a part of a number of giant corporate teams doing brand new things. And one of the threads that ran through that, I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, start my own company. And I ended up not stuck in, but almost kind of accidentally successful in all these giant corporate environments. And it was because of my comfort with evolution. And when I look back on why was I comfortable with evolution, it was because I had a growth mindset. I don't know who I was lucky enough to learn that from, and I conveyed that onto my team. So there's a thread of learning and evolving into new roles that ended up being one of the hallmarks, of my corporate career. And those who were on teams that I built at places like Capital One or more recently Verizon, where I was chief experience officer, they know that I was investing heavily in their future by investing heavily in helping them transition into a new role or into a new team to stretch what they're capable of. And my favorite tactic to do that was to connect them with another human. We're all surrounded by learning vehicles. We can read things, we can watch videos, etc. But if someone's trying to stretch into a new space, they really want to learn from something or someone that they trust. And mentorship and apprenticeship are not new, but they are a little undervalued lately, right? We're in a society where we're seeing blasts of things everywhere, almost a deluge of potential content, and the ability to actually get insights from the person that you most want to learn from is tricky, because the person we most want to learn from is usually capacity constrained. For me, one of my favorite examples that I love to use, I don't know him yet, is Bobby Flay. If I'm manning the grill and I'm hoping that I don't mess up the steak that I'm cooking for my family, I wish I had access to Bobby Flay right at that moment. But I don't. So, and nor does he have any capacity to mentor me or help me as an apprentice. So, by way of big backstory, I transitioned away from corporate into a chance to actually start my own company and met an amazing co-founder named Andy. And we chose to tackle this space. How do the experts that we most admire pass on their knowledge? And how can, in this new era, how can AI help make it happen? Keeping us learning from humans rather than learning from cyberspace, if you will.
When we post this episode, I will tag Bobby Flay for you, see if he.
Yeah, right on.
So in talking about your journey and specifically about Answers From Me, you've mentioned that it's less about just capturing memories. We do that in a lot of ways already, right? And having these learning vehicles, as you mentioned. And it's more about scaling someone's very unique perspective and their expertise. So can you tell us more about how you landed there and essentially what made you believe that how a person thinks is the most valuable thing to preserve and then share with everybody?
Yeah, well, if each of us tracks kind of how we learn from someone we admire, it typically involves revering the way they look at the world, which is shaped by their life experiences. And you could you could ask, how do I cook a steak in the oven because it's raining outside? And you could get a generic answer from all the LLMs in the world. But if you ask Bobby Flay, he'd have some very specific tips on specific oils with high smoke rates and all kinds of stuff that you wouldn't think of. So those are inspirations to say it isn't just about roughly how to do things. It's how to do things from the perspective of a human whose life experience I admire, that I'm really seeking the most. And that was the magic in what I did within my teams, and my co-founder Andy within his teams as an engineer. That was what we said, hey, maybe AI can help here. And in this new world of generative AI, there's also not really a fork technology, but another technology that embraces how important context is to answering any question via AI. And that technology is called RAG, R-A-G, Retrieval Augmented Generation. Embracing RAG and letting, the context from Nichole, your life experience, be involved in helping answer a question on your behalf if you're unavailable. That was really exciting to us. So we jumped on that and decided to see where it could take us.
Okay, I want a question to focus a little on Answers for Me and what it actually does. And you use the words when it comes to whether they're experts or really just people in the world that we look up to, right? They're like virtual mentors to us. They are limited often by time and capacity. So how does Answers for Me help someone share their knowledge in this way without burning them out?
Yeah, well, it starts with reviewing how that person is sharing their knowledge today. So most of us have relationships where we're passing on knowledge. Many of us are capturing our knowledge in an article or a post or a talk or a podcast. And those are all, data sets. And in a world where context is everything and context relies on data, our first step in helping an expert capture their knowledge in a knowledge base is to say, hey, what context have you already captured? And how can we make it as easy as possible for you to load that into a knowledge base that can be accessed in answering any question on your behalf? So, it started with, hey, I can upload articles I've written or blog posts I've written. And then it extended to, wow, in this modern age, we can very easily transcribe anything that's been recorded and upload transcriptions. And then the farther we got along with it, the more we got into some of the nuances, which are, maybe I don't want to upload the full transcription of what I just shared with someone during that one-on-one, but I want to draw out the insights, the knowledge insights of what I shared. And I want to capture those in my knowledge base so that next time someone asks me a question via my AI, those answers can be accessed. So we had to build in a little bit of a higher order way of working that draws out insights. And all this kind of packaged up for an expert is like, hey, I'm capturing knowledge on a daily basis. It's easy for me, and therefore I can open up, access to my AI to people who are learning from me, and they can get things from me without ever slowing me down. So
that is so cool.
Yeah, really fun.
Very fun, very cool. And even to just have a little peek at Brenda, our coworkers, have just the littlest peek at hers was like, oh, okay, this is exciting.
Yeah, ask Brenda's AI some questions and you'll be floored. And also just to make an example here of what's really important, someone's unique perspective is definitely different than what you're going to hear from ChatGPT or any of the LLMs. I think we're all blown away by what's possible with these LLMs right now. And they're in many cases our first stop when we're trying to, grab some new information. But to share a quick story on, one example, we're working with a local chapter of Big Brothers Big Sisters, and they're leveraging our technology to pass on what the very best mentors know and do to the new mentors that are nervous and just joining, right? Or the new brothers and the new big sisters. And one example is if you said, hey, what are some free things I can do with my new little brother or new little sister? If you went out and asked ChatGPT that question, it gives you an astonishingly awesome answer. It says, well, there's a number of big things. I assume you're talking about big brothers, big sisters. And, here, I'll give you a list of 25 different things you can do for free, and I'll categorize them. And you look at that and you're like, dang, this is phenomenal. And then it sinks in. You just gave me a list of 25 things that are all general, not really acknowledging that I'm in Charlotte. You're not helping me choose which thing to do. I don't know which one would work best. So take that example. And if you were to ask someone on our platform, and we have, the Big Brother of the Year on our platform now, ask his AI, what are some great free things to do with my new little? The answer is, here are my 3 favorite things to do in Charlotte. And one of them is shocking. And this is why I love the example. He says, I love to take my little to IKEA and walk through the showroom because it gets my little talking about dreams and fantasies and family life. And it really opens up the relationship in a very casual way so that we can grow a lot closer just by walking through, the IKEA showroom that many of us have all seen. So I rechecked the ChatGPT answer. There's no mention of IKEA. And it's just a really good example of the difference between all of us experience this. Like, we're going to get awesome answers at initial blush from the LLMs.
Yeah.
But moving forward, we need to be able to discern, like, is that awesome? or do I need a deeper level of acuity for an important decision I'm about to make? And if I need that, I need to trust the answer. And if I want to trust the answer, I probably want to chase down a human, ideally in person. But what if I don't have access to Bobby Flay in person?
Bobby Flay is getting so much love in this podcast.
Right?
I love it. I love it. I have to just share a side note. My dad is experiencing Alzheimer's, and his favorite thing to do is go to IKEA. I kid you not. Like, that is so interesting. And so much of Alzheimer's is regression kind of into youth and childhood. So what an amazing thing to know.
Wow, that's
so
powerful.
Cool. Yeah, pretty
Probably
cool.
triggers things for him that, makes him feel great.
For sure. Yeah. He talks about it all the time. He loves to go there. Yeah, really cool. So, okay, this is kind of just a thing that we all know. It's talked about so much. People worry AI replaces something human at work, or in actuality replaces the humans at work. Yeah. You are designing AI to extend human judgment. Correct me if I get that wrong. Not replace it. So what's the difference in plain terms?
Yeah, through our work, and we've kind of boiled it down to, in the future, we will all face that choice of, do I want AI to do it for me, or do I want AI to help me do it? And there'll be a ton of examples where we want AI to do it for us, right?
Yeah.
But that's kind of the first wave of AI that everyone's so excited about. That's the wave of AI that has everyone, talking about cost cutting. That's the wave of AI that has everyone worried as well. But when I say excited, it's like, whoa, I can have AI write this email instead of me. That's awesome. We really see a future where having AI help me do it is going to be preferred. And we're going to have a bunch of AI agents helping us do it in different ways. Some will be great at, following our instructions, but others will be great at giving us advice. And that just takes us back to the same theme I've already mentioned. If I'm seeking advice, I probably trust a human more than I trust a black box where I don't know the values. I don't know how it's been trained. So we really love, seeing a future where we're going to embrace AI to help us do it. And it keeps the human at the center of work moving forward.
Yeah.
Forgive me, Bobby Flay is mentioned a lot, and IKEA is about to be mentioned a lot. But as you were talking about that story, the scenario you shared, I'm a court-appointed special advocate, so a CASA. It's not the same as like the Big Sister, Big Brother program, but there are so many parallels in, having a relationship with youth. And in my case, my foster youth is going to be aging out of the system soon, and just IKEA is not anything I thought of, and that's brilliant. And I will be certainly taking that. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Thank you. And I obviously need to ask not Brenda some questions, but I need to get on the platform. Anywho, in the same sentiment, the same way that you mentioned, whether it's ChatGPT or any of these LLM, I'm sorry.
LLM.
There you go.
Yeah, large language model is all it is, because they're trained on the entire internet. And that's amazing for us, except for the fact that every answer they give you has to take the average of everything that's ever been written on the entire internet and turn it into an answer, which is a little bit less amazing when you think about it.
So it's very generic, and I've tested it. I'm sure we all have here. It's very agreeable, and it won't admit when it's wrong.
Right.
So your agents admit when they don't know something rather than just hallucinating. In your experience,
like the best humans we know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really. In your opinion, why is the ability to say I don't know so important in systems meant to support very human work?
It's an awesome question. It probably, it really comes down to just our humanity, right? Like, and the word trust again, which can be our third theme in this podcast. If you've had the wool pulled over your eyes once or twice, where something didn't admit that it didn't know something, if it was a person, for example, you lose trust. And if you lose trust, you stop relying on, that person or that resource when you're making important decisions. So, and we actually get great feedback on that. Like, people would much rather hear back from our AI, hey, that's a great question. I don't have any content in the knowledge base curated yet to answer that question. But actually, we give two choices. We say, but I can give you a generic answer from an LLM, or I'll check back with the expert and encourage them to circle back with you. And so behind the scenes for us, the expert will get an alert through an alerts engine we built that says, someone's asked a question that there was no context to answer. Do you want to address it? And you can imagine there's a couple ways to address it. They could click and just write in a personal answer. Like, that's a great question, Nichole. Here's what I think about that. You can also imagine that when they answer that question and they're pretty proud of their answer, they want to save that in their knowledge base. So we made that as easy as checking a box, like, save this answer for the next time someone else asks the same question. But the other way to do it is uploading, information that doesn't even have to be written by you, that addresses the question properly, for Nichole. So this is another really human thing that wasn't as intuitive to us in the beginning, but we all refer to other people's works when we're answering questions too. Like, if somebody asked me for advice on cooking a steak, I might say, well, my favorite person, Bobby Flay, recommends you use avocado oil. So should I be allowed to upload a Bobby Flay article into my knowledge base? And so we looked into the legalities of it. If it's a public, copyright free article and it's one I would refer to as a human, heck yeah. And so it kind of brings the whole thing together, where we're capturing both our own personal captured human knowledge, but also the curated knowledge of those we respect most.
Love it. No BSing answers. We need more of that.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
You share regularly on LinkedIn, and recently you shared that humans are mistaking fluency for understanding and confidence for truth. So, in other words, you warned that leaders risk outsourcing the very discernment that their role requires. What do you think real discernment looks like for leaders, especially using AI responsibly?
Yeah, it's it's absolutely what we're going to face more and more with each week that goes by. But this notion of we mistake confidence for truth, you can test it with LLMs. Like, if you go out and ask an LLM a question that pertains to something you know nothing about, and you get an answer back, you're going to be like, dang, that's a pretty strong answer. If you go out and ask an LLM something about something you know a ton about, like maybe it's in your career field, maybe it's something you have personal involvement with, but you know a ton about it, you get the answer back from the LLM, you're going to have completely different perspective.
Yeah.
You're going to be like, that's actually pretty weak. And this part of it made up, and this part of it is generic and not very useful. So I just use that experiment to open the eyes of people to see that confidence that we're hearing from Gen AI and LLMs is not to be trusted. And so that's where the discernment comes in. And back to that choice of, do I have AI do it for me, or do I have AI help me do it? What a lot of professors are starting to teach students is how to be aware of that gap so that they don't let AI write a term paper for them, because once they do that kind of an experiment a couple of times, even a high school student will be like, oh my gosh, I'm not having it write it for me, but I will ask it some questions to have it write a first draft that I can improve upon with my own discernment and my own knowledge.
Yeah.
And so then we're getting like a big boost that's helpful, super helpful, frankly. And I think we'll all be leveraging it for that. We'll just use our own discernment for what to keep, what not to keep, as we push forward.
Discernment, I think, is a superpower. I wish it was something more people spent time refining and understanding the value of discernment.
Hopefully it's a superpower we keep, as human. It's definitely predicted to be one of the things that AI is not going to soon conquer.
Cool.
So, the question of where will humans be valued in the future in all roles that require discernment?
Yeah.
Which would include roles like yours, reviewing anything written and being like, no, this needs to be better. AI might go, that's really great. And like, why would it need to be better? It's something really innately human that from your lived experience as to why it needs to be sharper, stronger, more believable, whatever the piece is that you're reading, right, and editing. That's discernment, and that we're going to have that cornered for a while yet.
Yeah, cool. You mentioned professors, and you spend a lot of time with leaders through the Stanford D School, correct?
Yeah, that's where I do the exec ed coaching on design thinking. So it's been an honor to work with them a few times a year. Yeah,
I'm sure. And from what I understand, you spend time thinking about how work gets designed, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So where do leaders most often get it wrong when they are trying to make work faster, more efficient, and in the process, they end up making it feel less human? Where are they going wrong?
Well, one of our favorite things to teach at the D School is that it's really easy for us to believe that the way to start to make decisions that are more human-centered is to ask other humans what they would do. So imagine any marketing team saying, hey, if we built a product like this, would you buy it? And that is a classic mistake that some of the most senior executives endorse. They'll stand in front of a giant audience of their team and say, we're more human-centered now. We're talking to our customers. We're building what they want us to build. That's a big mistake. Research science would tell you. We really instead need to acknowledge that we humans are terrible at predicting our future actions. And we need to be able to judge whether a product is strong or not based on how humans interact with that actual product. So looking at observationally, real human behavior is the right way to build products and services moving forward. And the thing that's kind of exciting in the current era is it's never been easier to prototype a real type of a product and get it in front of people. And then get their reactions to something that's live, then ask for their predictions in something that's not live. And so that's one example I would go back to.
That's a great example. So essentially, you don't want to ask someone, would you, right? It's not, hey, would you, this is a cool thing. Would you like it? You want to get them using it. You want to see what their reaction is, their real-time actual response.
Yeah, and if you don't, if anyone in the audience doesn't believe that statement, just look at the last time you joined a gym or bought a Peloton and promised yourself you'd be using it every couple of days.
Nicole's got a
Predicting
Peloton.
your future behavior. You were positive you were going to use it every 2 days. Right? We're terrible at predicting our own future
Totally.
behavior.
Yeah. Very cool
But,
insight.
but if a Peloton was sitting in the room and we weren't using it and someone interviewed us and said, why not? You could learn a lot about human behavior and a lot about how the product needs to be built in order to be more useful.
Scott, I realize we're at time. Do you have 2 minutes to spare at most?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. You've touched on this briefly. It's a bit of a fun question, I promise. When you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up? And in what ways do you see that version of yourself showing up at work today?
Ooh, I love that question. I was excited to be an architect for a good portion of my childhood, and I've been very lucky to realize that I have a very creative DNA, and I've been surrounding myself with creatives my whole career. I was a chief design officer in a number of different companies, Capital One as one. And I've learned that this notion of being creative and building things is super, super fulfilling. But you've got to be always learning in order to be able to do it well. And so if you're the kind of person that just wants to look, backwards at what you're already capable of and doesn't want to stretch yourself into new spaces, then I think any architect would tell you that's a poor career choice. And so for me, it's been just the biggest gift ever that I have a hunger for learning about what's emerging and evolving. And I think that's an evolution of the architecture focus.
Cool. It has been so lovely getting to have you here today on.
Likewise. Thanks for having me.
Everybody, this is Scott Zimmer, co-founder and CEO of Answers From Me, and Bobby Flay's #1 fan.
Yes.
I have one final question. What gives you hope about the future of work?
Yeah, I think that even as AI and robots seem to be moving in, I'm really given hope on a daily basis when I see how much humans appreciate other humans.
Yeah.
And I don't think we're going to be losing track of that anytime soon. I think we're in control of that. So if we can keep appreciating other humans, if we can leverage robots and AI to give us more time with other humans for a deeper, human to human interaction, then we've got a really bright future.
Beautiful.
Scott Zimmer,
Thank
everyone.
you so much.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate
thank
your
you
time.
both.
Thank you so much, Scott.
All right.